Hey everybody, it's Nate with Sauce Ain't the Boss here again, and today is day number 295 of quitting alcohol. In yesterday's video, I touched bases on building a life away from alcohol and building on the foundation of quitting alcohol a little bit. And I was really thinking today, how does that all start? How do you build a life away from alcohol? How do you build a life that makes you not want to go back to alcohol? And I was thinking about how when I built this shop that I'm sitting in right now, this art studio is in a 2,100 square foot shop that I built on our 5 acres here. And where the shop sits was just an overgrown mess of poison oak and down trees and branches and trees. And it was just an overgrown piece of property, basically. And so, the analogy of building this shop is a lot like building a life free from alcohol. It's got to start with the desire, right? The desire to quit drinking alcohol, the desire to build a shop. And sometimes that's through a need. I needed to build this shop because of my business was expanding and we were busting out at the seams. And I had to have more space. And same with alcohol, you got to have a desire. Maybe that need to quit alcohol comes from potential health problems or relationships going south or, your job starting to unravel because you're not showing up for work or being as productive as you should be. So, once you have that need and that desire, then what I had to do is I had to plan. I had to plan on getting permits, go down to the planning department. I had to draw up plans. I had to submit them to an engineer and then resubmit those to the building and planning department. And I had to pull permits. And it's the same with quitting alcohol. You have to make a game plan. When are you going to start? What is your plan? Are you still going to continue to go to bars, or is that a bad plan? And that's the other thing. If you make a bad plan to start with building a shop or quitting alcohol, you're not going to end up with a successful result. So I think some good planning, it's like I said, writing a pros and cons list for quitting alcohol is a big help. You can really start to see quickly the things that are going to get better in your life when you quit drinking alcohol. And there's very few pros if you sit down and think about them. And so, you got to pick a date to start on that makes sense, So you go through that whole planning process of building a building. And then now what? You've got the plans, you have the desire, you have the plans, you're ready to rock and roll, right? So then you break ground. For us building this shop, it was land clearing. We had to bring in a bulldozer and burn huge slash piles, level the ground, and that's like quitting alcohol. That's the first step of the building is once you've got a plan, the ground clearing, starting with a fresh slate, clear that crap out of your house, get rid of the alcohol. And, that's the first step of the building. Your life away from alcohol is this cleared ground, clean slate of no longer poisoning yourself and having a basically a pad cut, solid foundation to build on of your life now away from alcohol. And the first step of that after you've got your plan is to put down the alcohol and stop freaking drinking it, right? So after that now, you can start to build the building. You can start to build that life away from alcohol because you've got the desire, the plan, you've put the alcohol down, and now you start pouring the foundation. You start, digging the footings, pouring the cement in there, and your building starts to grow. And you got to build a good foundation, right? If you decide to build your building on uneven ground or sandy soil, it's not compacted, it's not going to be a good base. So, once you quit that alcohol, you want to immediately start building a solid foundation of life away from alcohol by finding new things that you love to do other than drinking, by immediately starting to work on yourself, by not going down to the bars anymore, by not surrounding yourself with your drinking buddies that the only relationship with them was just drinking. You have to get yourself out of those trigger situations. You have to learn to deal with the cravings, So you immediately go to work on this foundation, and then slowly but surely, once you've got that good base, you're away from alcohol, you've gone a month or two, and just like with this shop, once a month or two had passed, the ground was cleared, the foundation was set. we started putting the walls up. You start slowly, getting a life where it starts to take shape. You start to see results popping up in front of your eyes when those walls go up. You go, wow, all of a sudden this is starting to look like something. I can see a silver lining to this project through all the effort that I put into it so far. And putting walls up on a building is kind of like those little perks you start seeing from quitting the alcohol. All of a sudden, you lost 5 or 10 pounds maybe, and all of a sudden you find yourself spending more time with your kids, or your relationships start to improve, and you've saved some money now. And then all of a sudden, you keep building on that life. You start doing things that you really love to do. You start seeing things about yourself. Inadvertently, when I quit drinking alcohol, I thought, this quitting alcohol thing was just going to be quit drinking alcohol and deal with that, and just not be a drinker and go forward, and it actually ended up being a spiritual thing where all of a sudden I'm realizing how crappy I am in some areas, how selfish I'd been. And, I started learning about my insecurities and what stress triggers I had. And, you just start, just like I said, inadvertently, things start popping up on your radar screen about yourself that you were so busy drowning out with alcohol and not paying attention to who you really were as a person, that for the first time you can start to work on those things and see those things. And that's the first step. You can't work on something if you don't even see it. If you're so numbed out of your mind with the booze that you don't know what the hell's wrong with you, right? Like, you're never going to fix it. You're never going to have the opportunity to, because you're just getting buzzed and blitzed out every single night like I was. So the minute those walls start coming up with building that building of being away from alcohol, you start seeing these things about yourself. Then you go to work on those, and then before you know it, you hit a stage in the construction where, because it seems like the first part of it's the longest drawn out, the planning, the clearing of the land, the getting the found. But then it just starts to go. Those walls go up, and the next thing you know, you got your wiring and plumbing going in, and then you've got the insulation and the sheetrock, and all of a sudden it just starts taking off and moving like clockwork, and that's what starts to happen when you quit drinking alcohol. Once you have that foundation and you've put enough due diligence into that and getting away from the alcohol, and you just keep moving forward brick by brick, wall by wall, and you start getting all these positive things going on that you see, and it makes you not want to go back, because you start to see that building take shape, and you go, wow, I'm doing this, I'm getting along, and I'm starting to see the benefits of building this thing, and so you just keep moving forward, and finally, you have a building, you have something, and that's a building. The building of quitting alcohol is always something you got to keep working on, though. It's something that, once you get it to where you think it's great, you just keep building it anyway, because it just keeps getting better. It's just something that, the minute you stop building that, you kind of become complacent. And like I said in yesterday's video, you maybe lose that being diligent of what you're trying to accomplish in life, in that building, and where you were and where you've gone. The building's just there now, and you stop focusing on it. It can be easy to go back to the alcohol. You just keep moving forward with that momentum and keep building on that building. And I look at this shop now, and I'm not done. Even the shop I'm sitting in here, there's certain things I want to finish up on it and expand and do, and so it's a work in progress. And that's life without alcohol. It's a work in progress. Just when you think, maybe it's pretty darn good and maybe I'm happy with it, you find something else that, you want to tweak and you want to make better and you want to make more convenient for your workshop or your life, with the quitting alcohol. So, just an analogy I had today that I wanted to share with you guys, that it is building something that's worthwhile when you quit drinking alcohol. And again, it starts with the want, the desire, the planning, building that foundation by putting the alcohol down, and then slowly, brick by brick, building those walls. Once the walls go up, it takes off. Things get better, and then all of a sudden you've got this awesome building that you can continue to thrive with for the rest of your life. Just like this shop I have now, this shop has made me money. This shop has been such a blessing in so many different ways. But I wouldn't have it if the desire wasn't there and I didn't put forth the effort. And that's the thing. Building this building required a lot of effort. Yeah, I'm talking about the physical building I'm sitting in. I mean, there were bumps along the way too. And that's something when you're building something like a life away from alcohol, maybe you have a setback. Maybe something goes wrong. Maybe it doesn't go quite as planned. Maybe your expectations of how you would feel after, 3 months in, 6 months in, haven't been met and you're sitting there a little discouraged. And that's the thing with me. This shop ended up costing more money and took more time than I wanted it to, and quitting alcohol can be much the same way. You get into it and you have these expectations that it's going to solve all your problems in life once you put the alcohol down. It can definitely help. It doesn't hurt, right? But it's not some magic pill that all of a sudden everything in life is wonderful. You still have to build. You still have to move forward. You still have to work on yourself. You still have to chase down the reason that you were drinking in the first place and resolve that so you don't go back to the alcohol, and that's just life. That's building things that, you have hiccups, you order the wrong doors, or, something takes longer than you thought, and you readjust those goals. You readjust, I want it done by this time. Well, that's not happening, so it's not going quite the way I want. So you reel in what your expectations were a little bit and get back to reality and go, okay, it's more likely going to be this. I'm okay with not feeling 100% better, but I'm 90% better. That's great. You've made improvements, and that's the thing. This quitting alcohol thing is going to be different for all of us. Maybe I've been off it for almost 10 months now. In 5 days, it'll be 300 days, so 10 months. And I'm happy with my results. Did I meet all my goals? Maybe not, but I think I've exceeded my personal goals in a lot more. I've lost more weight than I thought. I'm healthier than I thought I would be. I have more energy and feel better than I thought I would. Are my relationships with my family better? Yes. Are they where I want them to be 100% yet? No. There's still some room for improvement there. So I'm focusing on that. And that's how it goes, and that's life, and that's great. But the thing is, you're moving forward, right? You're stepping away from alcohol. You're stopping poisoning yourself. You're working on things, and your trajectory is forward. And even if those days come along out of nowhere and you get knocked back because things didn't go quite the way you planned. We were talking yesterday. We had plans to do a bunch of stuff, and then I had to take my son to the urgent care because he ended up getting an infection in his leg, and he's doing okay now. He's on antibiotics and stuff. But long story short, it was like, I'm glad we got him in there when we did. But, sometimes things come out of the blue that derail what you had planned for the day. And that's okay. And I really enjoyed, it sounds kind of sick or morbid, but I enjoyed taking my son to the doctor because my son's 18 and he's really fit and healthy. And he's never been to the doctor before. And I got to go through that experience of, hey, this is how, our insurance works. This is what a deductible is. This is this is that. I taught him the whole process. Then we went and had to go get the prescription for the antibiotics. And, if you've never done those types of things, I realized my son's never had to deal with going. I said, first thing they're going to do is take your blood pressure. Sure enough, they take him in the room. They do his blood pressure. It's just one of those things I thought, well, this is a neat blessing to be able to go through this with my son the first time he's going through this, and it was just like my kids had never flown before until we went to Hawaii this year. And I hate flying, right? But the whole process, being able to share that with my kids, getting them to see them look out the window and then learn what they got to do. They got to take their shoes off to go through security and what that process looks like. And then once you go through security, you don't have to go through it again as long as you don't go to the baggage claim, leave the secure area at a different airport or whatever. You can go from plane to plane and not have to go through security again. And it was just an experience for them to have that they now know how to travel, And so even the things I don't like doing, I look for the silver lining in them, and there's always something there to look forward to and be happy about and thankful for. Even if it's something that you go, this really sucks, like taking your kid to urgent care, you know, well, what's the silver lining here? It's teaching them this stuff about how the medical process works, how insurance works. You know, hey, you know, infections get treated with antibiotics, and here's, you know, the type of infection it is, and da 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 da. I mean, there's always something to learn, something to look at in a positive light. So I hope you guys are doing that as you go through this journey. On those tough, shitty days, I mean, look for the silver lining. Say to yourself, I'm going to get through this day. I'm going to be happy tomorrow waking up that I didn't fall to the temptation. I learned something about myself. I leveled up because I got through that tough craving. And just keep building that house, building that house away from alcohol and your life away from alcohol. And, you know, build it with bricks, build it strong, and just keep building it, never stop, you know. So that's it for today, guys. If you guys are enjoying these videos, please give them a like, subscribe to the channel if you can, and most importantly, remember, sauce ain't the boss. You are. You guys have a great day.